Hi guys, this is Sameera Reddy and we are back with Limitless with Westside. Today I have for you a woman grandmaster, yes. She was introduced to chess just at the age of 6. And then from there, she has won prestigious titles like International Master, Woman Grandmaster, the Arjuna Award for Sports in India. Tania Sachdev is a chess player and a chess commentator. That's quite a thing because people usually retire to get into that, but you just sprung right into it, Tania. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you, Sameera. Very flattered, and it's really nice to be here. I haven't retired from playing. You're absolutely right about that, and I think I just happen to love both, and it's hard for me to give up one right now.
I love that. I love the fact that you're changing the game in itself. Because, usually if you watch cricket and you watch a lot of these, the commentators are usually they are going to the next stage, but you're like, you know what, forget that. I'm going to just change this. I'm going to be great at my game. I'm going to be the current sensation and I'm going to get in there and give my 2 bits.
It's not easy at all, but the thing is that I love commentary. It's something, when I was young actually, I remember many times I would say that if I wasn't a chess player, I'd be a news anchor. I always had this thing.
So you just decided to bring them both
together.
I
was like, let's work better than just make both of them happen. But it also stems from this desire to bring chess to everyone. And I think it's my dream that chess is watched by millions of people. It's on television one day and I want to do everything I can for it.
I'm going to say this because as a woman, you think about chess and the first name that comes is Vishwanathan Anand, and you know how it is. It feels like it's male dominated, like even at home, I know my son plays and then my daughter tries to play. And
so
usually,
cool.
I guess, the feeling is, but usually boys are good at it. That's the feeling with chess and you're breaking that. But have you faced a pushback, the fact that you're in such a male dominated space?
I think chess as a career for women has opened up a lot over the last couple of years, I would say over a decade max. And you're totally right that it's a sport where even in pure numbers, it's more men players. There is still a lot of gap between the top male players and the top female players. But chess is such a great leveling sport like that because girls and boys can play together as you grow up. You're playing in open tournaments together as well. So it really does tend to break the gender barrier. But I think even if it does so on the board, in the minds of people, it's still a big challenge to do that. When I started playing, things were very different at that time. I mean, chess, firstly, picking it up, especially being from Delhi, there was very little chess culture. And it's funny because my dad was actually trying to teach my brother how to play, like you said, in your family, with your son and daughter getting into the game, you feel it. So it was my brother who was trying to learn chess.
And so at the age of 6...
Yes, and I was watching them. I was like, this is very interesting. And then I got really into it and they thought this is kind of strange. So maybe we need to look into it. Karan, my brother's name is Karan. He never took to chess. He went on to become a golfer instead. So, you know what? At the end of it, I realized that people will talk, have perceptions, have these biases, and you've got to let your work do the talking. You have to let your game do the talking.
But sometimes don't you think it works? Because, I've noticed as a woman, sometimes you're underestimated. And then maybe you use that because they're like, boom, you just go out there with your expertise and they're like, oof, they don't know what's hit them.
It's definitely a bit more exciting when you win those games and, to play in open tournaments and to get a good result and to compete as well alongside men. And then, if you've heard some comments being passed about being a girl in a sport,
just give it back.
Then it's that extra thrill. But I think at the end of it, I was very lucky because I always grew up in an environment where it was my parents were never, you're a boy, my brother, you're a girl, you have different opportunities, or we want to push him into sports. So I was like, you know what? It's not about becoming the best women player. It's about becoming the best player that you can. So I think that really helped me from a young age. And I think that mindset has to come on when you're young. Like your daughter, if she's playing alongside her brother and she grows up like that, like they will not think that...
No, but the thing is most families, Indian families don't think like that.
Exactly.
My husband is a complete opposite. He wants to make Naira, my 4-year-old, into a football player and he's already trying to get her into chess.
I love it. It has to change at that age. age.
It does.
It has to be put in, and it's not only affecting Naira but also her brother when he sees that, because when young boys and girls in India, they see a girl playing or a girl performing or a woman commentating in a male-dominated area, they realize even boys get affected. It's not only that you're inspiring young girls to follow their dreams or passion, but boys also realize that, men and women, they can work alongside together and they've got this space to share.
But that starts at a very core level.
Exactly.
So from the age of 6, I see that chess didn't just become a hobby. It became something that you wanted to pursue. I can only imagine what started happening in school, right? Because as a school student, did that change how you were perceived in school?
I think chess was the best thing that's happened to my life and was the worst thing that happened to my school life.
Yeah.
Because, it's, you're not going to school as often. I barely had any friends. Also, I was nerd level max. I was, I wanted to play chess all the time. So when I learned how the pieces move, I got so into the game that I would walk around with a chessboard in my hand, and anyone who would come to visit us had to first play a game with me before they were allowed to enter the house.
That's cute.
So my parents were like, she's gone crazy. And,
but that's how you master it, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least at that time, you as a kid don't have the ability to push anything. And if your parents have that understanding, and I think they play such a huge role in every athlete's, every sports person's life. So they found someone who would then coach. But for my school, I was very happy that, the more I played chess and the better I did at it, it meant I didn't have to go to school.
And then from there at 8,
yeah,
how did you go to win the title?
So I learned how the pieces move. I think I was around 6 at that time, and I got a local coach. I went to play my first international tournament 2 years later, the British Championship. And I won 5 titles there. And I think I didn't even realize what it meant for me or my future. But it was a big point for my parents to understand that there's something here and they wanted to push it. For me, like I said, it just meant that I could play chess all day long and not think about studies.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win.
But I think your parents from what I read, they have a sports background, right? Your mom played badminton, dad football in college, your brother's a golfer. So it makes such a big difference to have that around. And how come, the fact that, okay, I say this again, chess is not a physical sport and your family were playing physical sports. And then you chose something which was a bit more, what would you call chess, as a sport?
The ultimate mind game.
The mind game, right?
The ultimate mind sport.
And I love that. I love that you chose something like that. But you've said that the more you win, the more you want to win. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, whoa, that's scary, because it's like that. How do you stop, with that kind of...
Yeah.
So do you think that comes from the fact that maybe as women, at least I feel that sometimes, you tend to want to prove yourself because women are underestimated usually anyway. So you tend to overcompensate by saying, I'm just going to go at it and I'm going to prove it and I'm going to just make this happen and I'm going to show everybody. But sometimes it does push, but where's that point?
I think, in sports, definitely one of the big motivators is this desire and this hunger to win. And it's what keeps you going even in difficult phases, in difficult times, because you're not going to win every game. But if you have this innate push in you, and I think it's true that the more you achieve, the more you set your mind to the next goal. And it almost seems like never ending. And I feel like this attitude in me was a lot stronger a while ago. And then you realize that there's no ending it, you want to become the national champion, you become the national champion. You want to get into the national team to represent India, you get into that. You win the titles, you win the Asian Championship. You're always looking at the next thing. You're playing in the Olympics, you're winning a medal there. And it gives you this high that, yes, I've achieved it, but it's not long-lived. And I think that's also why I feel like I've moved a lot towards commentary, because it gives me a lot of joy as well. I'll be honest, growing up and when I was in that very high competitive state, I would say until pre-pandemic, I never looked at it like that. I just really wanted to be the best that I could be. And I wanted to push my boundaries to as much as I could. It didn't matter if I was playing a girl, if I was playing a boy. It didn't matter if I was a girl. I just wanted to be the best chess player that I could be and do everything in that way. So definitely winning felt special, because even if I felt that way, I knew what was being said around me. And you grow up with that. And
we all have to fight that always.
We have to fight that. And I think it kind of puts a fire into you as well.
It does.
Which I think if you're able to channel correctly, I think it can be a really big push.
I guess in films as well as sport, it's a public loss if you don't win. Like for us, you'd have a flop.
How do you deal with that?
My first movie, I cried for 1 month and I just sat at home and I was like, I'm never going to act again, because it was so public and it was reviews and reviews saying that this girl can't act. Why did they even launch her? La, 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 la. And I just remember it hitting me really hard because nobody looks at the director, nobody looks at your co-star.
Because you're the face, right?
And nobody says anything. They just don't even look at the scriptwriter. They're like, you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just like this young kid who didn't know what she was doing. That being said, with you, again, I see sports people don't look at your coach. People don't look at anybody. They just look at you. And it's so public. So that's a lot of pressure, right? And I'm seeing your drive. You have this energy which is like, boom! It's like exploding. It's awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
But with that energy also, how do you neutralize it to then handle a loss on a public stage?
So chess inherently is a very lonely game because it's you and your mind. You don't have anyone to blame for your losses. You don't have anyone but yourself to blame for things that go wrong. And on the board, you're fighting your mind and you're trying to, give your best and win a game by yourself. Pressure comes with the territory of whether it's performing arts or whether it's sport. And I feel that a little bit of pressure is good. And I think if you have pressure, you're doing something right in life. If people have expectations from you, it probably means that you have it in you to deliver that. It is very difficult. It's not easy at all to overcome these things. But the more you're in a sport, the more you realize it's a champion's mindset. And that's what probably also separates the best from the greats, that under pressure, the best in them comes out. That they actually are able to play to the highest quality in the most difficult situations.
But do you think that takes a toll on any part of you?
Of course it does.
Physically,
Sports,
mentally.
In all of it, emotionally.
Yes, exactly.
Your overall life, of course, but it's also so beautiful because it's like test by fire. You put yourself through that and you're not always going to come out a winner of it. But if you're able to go through it, take the difficult lessons, like you said, the first movie was difficult, but eventually having the hits and you realize that I have it in me. And you have to go through that journey to get to that point.
I think with you, what I've seen is that you've kind of come to that point where if somebody judges you, if someone thinks that you've lost or won, it's their opinion.
Yeah.
And you have that fire and it's your journey and you're good. And I think somewhere self-doubt is one of the things that kill almost every dream of most people out there.
Yes.
Self-doubt is
it's the hardest thing to deal with.
Exactly.
And it comes in with a lot of voices around you. And sometimes, there are phases where you feel like I was about to win a championship, but in the last round you mess up. I have been through tournaments where, instead of winning a gold medal, it happened in the 2022 the Chess Olympics, where we were so close to winning a gold. I was so close to winning the individual gold. But the last round, after having an incredible tournament, the last round we lost our match and we had to win a bronze. If at the start of the tournament, someone had said that this was the first ever Indian women team bronze for me, it was the first ever Olympic individual medal as well. Had someone said it at the start, I would be so happy. But the way tournament had gone, I was heartbroken at that point. And then you start thinking, because you've put in so much effort, right? I think we put in almost like 6 to 8 months of our life was directed towards this tournament. And then there are these thoughts of, like you said, self-doubt. And there used to be a lot more earlier on, I think. Now I'm at the stage where it's about really pushing my boundaries. I want to see how far I can go in chess, how far I can go with my commentary. For me, commentary is also something which is so close to my heart. So that's where I am right now, learning more, trying to live my best life.
Just sharpening your mind and your body up to achieve more. I love that.
It's one life, and you can and I think in your 20s, it matters so much what people around you are saying. And that's, I think, one of the very beautiful parts about growing up.
Oh, it's amazing. Wait till you touch 40.
Yeah.
You just won't care.
You just don't. And you're living with this thing that I want to do the most that I can.
Yeah.
And if you have people who are trying to bring you down, because they'll always be there,
Yes.
I think you're doing something right. The more successful you get, the more people will talk about you.
And I keep saying this even to people out there. A lot of people write to me and say like, oh my God, so and so saying this about me, or I feel run down by my family member. And I always say this, at the end of the day, even if you have the strongest support system or you don't, you have to be within your own body and your own mind. And if you don't find that calm, and if you feel that people are judging you and you give them that power to judge you, it's game over.
Yes, I fully agree with you. I think internally you have to be your best friend. You have to understand that nobody can uptalk you the way you can. Also, giving yourself the chance to feel happy about the wins. I think we are so hard on ourselves sometimes, where we look at difficult moments as something that bring us down, but don't really allow ourselves to celebrate all the things that we do achieve. So you have to be your best friend. And I really think that what we also forget is that for every one person who's trying to bring you down, there'll be hundreds of people who are so supportive about you. And I feel like very lucky like that as well, that I've had that. But you have to really uptalk yourself through many moments.
I call it an everyday work in progress.
Yeah.
Like every day, people look at me on my gram, they're like, oh my God, she's already got it together. I'm like, no, I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I know what you mean.
Every day I have to sort of lift myself up, or like it's almost like self-therapy, where you have to talk yourself through of things that you've done the previous day. And I call it like cleaning the slate and starting again, where you forgive or you let go or you laugh or you just, you have to clean the slate every day and work at it.
That's beautiful. I just want to be the best version of myself, be better than I was yesterday. Like you said, like start, do things in a way that give you joy. And that's what my focus is. And I'm loving that.
I hope like a lot of young girls are listening to this, or parents of young women listening to this, because there's so much inspiration here. There is. I mean, you're just so focused. Your focus is like razor sharp right now. I'm like, I'm going to go after this and get my vision board out and be like, okay, I need to sharpen what I need to do right now.
Thank you.
Because it's something that we need to have a complete clarity of what we can achieve. And if you just have that in your mind, you're halfway there. And I think that's a mistake that we all, we kind of sit in a gray space and a gray matter, and we're like, oh, we're just trying to get through the day and we're going to, and I always say, no, if you have a charged mind, and if you visualize, I guess that's what chess also is, right? You're visualizing your game and you're moving it for the kill.
Yes.
Do you think chess has sharpened you to a point where you can make better decisions or judge people better?
There is this whole concept about chess imitating life and life decisions. And does your personality actually determine the way you're on the chessboard, the intuitive decisions that we take when we're playing? Whether you're an aggressive player or you might be a more strategic positional player. Does your personality in any way, and vice versa, does it, get reinforced? I actually think that there is so much that chess players and I myself have taken from the game over the years, and it's sort of obviously not done consciously, because it just becomes innate to you. Just at the top of my head, I feel one of the things that chess has such a big role to play when you're playing a game, you can't only think about what you want. You can't only be like, acha, this is my plan, this is my calculation, this is how I'm going to win a game. Because you have to respond to what your opponent is doing. Because they also have their own plans. They also have their own challenges that they're going to pose. So chess is as much about responding as much as creating your own threats and ideas. And very often to win a game, you have to outsmart your own opponent or outcalculate your own opponent in their ideas, in their plans, kind of set up these situations where they fall for it, where they feel they're going the right way, but you found a little trick in it somewhere. So I think one of the things is that you understand that your truth or your understanding of things may not be the whole picture, and you learn to value another person's opinion. You learn to value other people's truths, because a truth is very different from a fact. I feel like my truth might be different from another person's truth, but the fact is something that can't be changed universally. But just understanding that that other people also have opinions, and other people also have their way of looking at things, and you have to kind of respect that, respond that, to live a more full life.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big thing about how we just grow up so much faster in India and in sports, I feel. It's a hustle country. And, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we have such big amount of talent that comes out. Because from a really young age, we learn to fight like crazy. There is big competition to get good coaching, to be there, to work for hours, after school hours. You're working late into the night. There's no such thing as, acha, ab playtime ho gaya, and now, I'll take a break from. So from a young age, you have this fire in you.
Yeah.
And I feel that is why we see so much like growth and talent in India, because yeah, we're like there to fight and win.
But do you think there is that fire within women, and do you think there's scope
100%.
for women?
I really think so. And I think it's changing. And I think it's changing because you have so many women who've also, kind of shown that it's possible. To me, for example, like growing up, one of my sort of chess heroes, I can say, but somebody who I always thought that this is so cool, is Judith Polgar. She's the strongest female chess player in the history of the game. She was in the world top 10, the only women player to have been in the world top 10. And growing up, I always felt like, damn, like if she can do this, so can I do it. And when I would see, whether it's stars like Mariyam, or even in the film industry, when you see somebody like Priyanka Chopra, for example, when you have women who are not only breaking the glass ceiling, not only kind of setting this high standard, but also raising the floor on which they stand on. I feel like that inspires a generation, and I think it's changing. I think women have a lot of fire. They have the opportunity. And, talking about young girls, they get advice and they listen to all these things. And, I keep getting asked that, what would you advise the young girls? I just feel like they already know what they want.
They just don't trust their intuition.
That, and also I feel like we need to advise the people around them.
Yeah.
The girls already know what they want to do.
Yeah.
They already have dreams and, these things they want to achieve and how they want to see their life pan out. But it's the people around them that need to be advised to let them do that.
And I think what you're saying is right, is that we can sit here and try to charge people up and say, okay, you need to do something with your life, but the support and the exposure as a child, because as a child you're a sponge, you're moving in the direction your family is moving you towards. And if you're going to mold them in a space which is you're a girl and this is only this much as you can do, then that's the only thing she'll know.
Yeah. And I don't know in your experience, but do you also feel that sometimes in our country, especially, like, you give this education, you're promoting it, but at the end of it, somewhere you hold them back. It comes from a place of concern and love and all of that, and maybe a mindset also. But I feel like even after giving everything, very often it's held back at some point.
It's conditioning.
Yeah.
So somewhere I know that because it's taken me so long to break it in my mind. I know how protective I am for Naira, but I also know I have a husband who's a complete opposite, where he's like, I'm going to throw her in a direction where if Hans can do this, she's going to do this 10 times stronger and harder. But you're right. As a mother, I do get a little concerned because I know the world is not a pretty place.
Exactly.
But finally, as parents, we've come to that point where we've understood that it's her journey. So this is, again, I come to the point where it's our conditioning as a society. It is mothers, fathers, family members, and people who just need to work to change that system.
Yeah.
Because in every inspirational story, it is some sort of a family member that is sat there and said, you can do it.
Exactly, right? I think the men play such a big role in that. We talk about women, encouraging women, empowering women, and achieving so much that makes other women believe that they can. Yes, and that's there. But I think an equal role is played by, like real men. And it's not about a gender divide. I think it's about blurring those lines. Like this whole thing of women achieving and doing the best they can to their potential, whether it's in it's in any sphere of life, in their personal life, in their homes, or in their work, in their careers, whatever they choose to do. I think it's something that men have an equal role to play. In my case, my father, for example, he never said that, okay, Karan has to learn how to play chess and you need to focus on your studies, or maybe go for a dance class or something like that. And you speak to any athlete, there's always this one parent, and very often it can also be a male.
Yeah.
And
it rarely is, though. At least I hope that's changing.
I hope that's changing. I feel it really is. I mean, I think there are a lot of good men who support and who know that, I think it's a beautiful life if it's lived to its full potential. And I think it's all about just giving a choice. There's no that, acha, you have to have some world-changing attitude about things.
Yeah.
It's even the small things in life.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm just getting the feeling here that you should write a book.
No, God.
I really feel this. I'm like, if
Help
you
me write one.
if you write a book, I would definitely
You
read it.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
because
I'll send you a copy of
energy is everything. I believe so much in universal, like this energy and this drive. And I wake up every day and there's a fire, but the fire just doesn't come out of anywhere. It's like when people, say, oh, I just wake up and I feel really good about myself. I'm like, yeah, right. It comes from knowing what you don't want, knowing what you want, and seeing something for yourself and being very clear about it, believing it. And you have that. You have that twinkle in your eye, you have that clarity.
Thank you.
And that is something I want everybody listening to know, that you can do it. You can have that clarity to do something. You just have to believe in it. And it's not just spiel. It's not like, just gyan. It's actually saying there is something I want to do. And yes, there are people who will support me. There are people who will go against me. There are going to be bad days, good days, self-doubt. But at the end of the day, if you know you're going to get there, you will get there. Because that is how universal energy operates.
Co-author the book with me, Sameera. No, I'm with you on this.
You're changing the
100%.
game. You are changing the game, and that's what we need. I need Naira to look at a Tania Sachdev and be like, dang, I'm going to get there.
To me, that's the biggest compliment. When a mother comes to me or a father comes to me, I'm so lucky that way that I do what I love, and along the way, maybe touch someone's life like that. To me, that's the biggest feeling of, that I've done something.
Yeah.
That, my daughter or my son, they saw you here, they saw you commentating, or they saw you playing. And she got into chess. She's playing. Today, Delhi, when I go to a school competition, has more than 300 kids playing. When I started, I was the only girl.
Wow.
Today, there are hundreds of girls.
That's incredible.
And that just feels very special to me.
Well, I'll tell you, you're making a big difference on this podcast. And I can tell you there are a lot of people listening right now who will be so inspired. I'm sure that our moms and dads will be like, okay, you know what? We're buying a chess set today. And we're taking it home and we're going to make sure our kids start playing. You're already making that difference. And not just, I think, in schools and overall. I feel that you're a force to reckon with. I know, I can see your energy is endless. When I read that part about you where you said, I want to win, but I want to win some more and some more and some more and some more. I was like, wow. But I see it, and I think you're going to do it.
Thank
Tania,
you.
I can totally see it.
And I think it's winning games, but it's also the concept of winning goes beyond that.
No, it's to better yourself.
Yes.
You're sharpening your edge, and you're making sure that you're just going to become a better version.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're like outdoing yourself.
Yes, and pushing your own boundaries. And hopefully along the way, inspiring others to do the same.
I love that, Tania. Tania, thank you so
Thank you,
much. You have
Sameera.
been this ball of energy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that you're going to really hit that mark and more. Thank you so much, Tania. And thank you everyone for listening to Limitless with Westside. This is our podcast with inspirational stories, fun moments, and looking forward to many more. Till then, bye.